What's up, community? Here, Georgi here, speaking to you live, and awesome to be happy with you all, and also to check in with you all the best count of on the highlights of things that we have been doing over this past week, and of awesome highlights of the beautiful sunny weather that we have been catching all this weekend. So today, on a nice, beautiful Sunday, and I wanted to open up a warm conversation of we have heard of this term indoctrination. Now we find out, okay, our impressions of indoctrination were seem to have been bad notions of what we've heard just based on how we were brought up or how we were just told of or informed of in things of how we have researched on typical topics you've searched about or typical books that you have read about or anything that has triggered you to a strong opinion. Now, let's to say and to be rest assured that to make it as a rest assured of good assurance that there is actually good indoctrination and there is bad indoctrination. One of the key critical things that we want to pay attention to is good indoctrination. One of the topics and things that we want to be able to focus on is how we educate ourselves. How we educate ourselves is what more so would be prone to be more indoctrinated from a healthy approach than from a bad approach. And we have to want to understand the lessons that we learned, like critical lessons that we have to take. We take it as a grain of salt that, okay, you make the decision, you got to accept the price you want to pay for it. Now, in terms of, okay, how we can really understand the indoctrination of any materials and any information that we read about, I talk in particular of, okay, behind me is the bookshelf. I have a bookshelf of books. Books are great because they're one of the best investments you can make in your lifetime to read about any topics that really interest you, whether it be in finance, autobiography, biography, you can name them all. Religion, right? I have a selection of books that I really see as an example of good indoctrination. Great examples of tools and information that you can yourself actually look into and read about. And to help you even clear your minds of your own indication of how you're able to draw your own conclusions and understand yourself. Particularly, we talk about religion, right? And we talk about religion, we talk about our upbringing, our things of ways that we've learned about, and particular areas where we sometimes mislead ourselves in different religious philosophies. As an example, all right, I was born Christian Orthodox, but I was converted as Roman Catholic as a result of my family who adopted me from the stateside. They had a better understanding, even more, it made more sense for me to convert me as Roman Catholic, and traditionally that was in the family blood culture. Now, particularly with my understanding, I could have refused to have not converted as Roman Catholic, but as though growing up it seemed to have been attracting to me, and I understood why today, essentially after learning about just in going to the Catholic Church services, growing up as Catholic, and going to a lot of the traditional sacramental services, I helped myself to understand. Finally, to this age where I'm at now, 32 years old, at this age, understanding why yet today it's important to be Catholic, I then got more actually open-minded from a spiritual and also from a candid approach. I took candid approaches to understanding other people's religions like Jewish, Muslim, and even Mormonism. Yet today, actually, from what I'm yet still understood is after learning ideas of information I took in world religion class, it seemed as though that the fabric of the moral identity that we can find ourselves even in today is, and not, of course, disrespecting any of other religious practices, but this is from my particular opinion of what I have found out as a Catholic growing up, but also to give you a candid approach that, all right, as a result of what we think that we're triggered to go away from the discomfort notions of what, okay, some of the things in the teachings that even the Christian denominations teach about, such as in the basis of the Bible, right? So there is good indoctrination in the Christian denominations. Now, a lot of us are triggered by history because of how much of what has happened between with the causes and the bad issues of what mankind has done to all religions of Christian, Islam, Judaism. As a result, here I've got copies of living proof of understanding where I'm coming from, like the Living Bible. You know, we read the Bible every day. We take ideas of understanding from the Bible and how the Bible was written from the early Christian history. As a result, when the denominations and the Christian churches separated, Catholicism also became popular as a notion that they had to create an order of structure that, of course, founded itself the copy to the Catechism of the Catholic Church. The Church, which of course had created basically fundamental concepts and instructions, okay, are how the church is being led, how the clergy and organizations of the church structure is organized. As a result, okay, from a Catholic perspective, and I tell you this as candid as possible, and I respect your practices and beliefs and what you do, and this is from my standpoint of what I tell you. The Catholic Church has built structures of order, not to really discomfort you, but also to help you understand this is basically a win it or lose it. Are you in or are you out mentality? It's a very structured, disciplined mentality. Now, many of us think because of how history has impacted us, and we've grown so radical, and we've gotten so even victimed to the atrocities of catastrophic areas that we've came across getting involved in, and as a result of it, it might have even separated us from our own denomination of religion, not just Catholics, not just Muslims, not just Jewish. It just might have separated us because of the increase and influx growth of secular religion. As a result of it, we want to get back to the roots, like, for example, reading the Bible or reading your catechism as a result. And if you're a Muslim in particular, right, you want to be able to exercise the good indoctrination practices, you obviously have a copy of the Holy Quran here. Why I have these copies? To fill you in on the summary, why I have these copies is because, yes, I am a Catholic by heart, but I read literature from Islam vocabulary or literature of its religion to understand where they're coming from. Particularly some of the characteristics that you can read from the Quran and even from the Bible, similar, but yet in respects to actually finding out the true religion, what the true religion is for you, and what we have really came across in the notions, okay, how there is still indoctrination of, okay, good intentions. Where are the indoctrinations of good intentions in as far as religions? What religion denomination has been characterized and influxed with secular denominations or secular organizations into it? Politically, we're not. That's up to us to really decipher and look forward to. And so the caption to go aside from religion and exercising that, okay, there is good doctrine, good, healthy tips of indoctrinating yourself to the current religion that you practice. You want to retain that. You want to know exactly where you're coming from. I go in particular when we talk about business, when we learn about business, right? You know, a lot of the influences of good indoctrination, healthy habits, we read from even in Christian history, is what has promoted us to be economically successful and striving to the successes of how we want to be still productive, producing citizens. Not by work we are infiltrated with bad intentions from what some of the secular culture and methods of basically bad habits that we increase. Here are examples of business-like written books that I've read about, and I find it informing. And that's what's even helped discipline, would help you to discipline yourself to become better. Principles by Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio is actually one of the financial, and was a former head of the Bridgewater Enterprise Organizations, Bridgewater Incorporated, former Wall Street banker. Another example is Benjamin Graham, who was one of the early investors in the investment community, who wrote the book Intelligent Investor, which of course one of the longer strong minds of past mentors like Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, who have mentored to be investors in the investor community, which if they exercise themselves to be indoctrinated in the financial world, like in most cases the notions of you want to be able to learn about typical subjects in any fashion of organization, you always want to know that there are good intentions of indoctrination, instructions, where there are certain guidelines, and how there are even possible motivations where you can be mentored in those areas. Love him or hate him, Trump, The Art of the Deal, one of his first written books that he wrote when he got into real estate. He talked about his success, his techniques of indoctrination, how he inspired and mentored many of the people under him, particularly how he went about finding, when he founded the Trump Organization, when he built the casinos in New Jersey area to open up a business particularly. Because the man himself wanted success, also not just himself, but also the people that he had under him. And he had a certain structure of instruction. And I go back to there were intended indoctrination of good intentions to count aside from the bad and the controversy intentions of what was going after him. And it's particular critical. As a critic, when you become a good critic, when you spend a lot of time being able to impact and make a difference on others, but also you're being basically targeted by the jealous crowd. The jealous crowd who don't exercise the good indoctrinated intentions, they tend to be jealous. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, one of the best written books, highly rated, highly viewed copywriting books that has ever been written, and probably most impactful from a success industry, many successful people who have read about, and also still today it's being raved about. The structures of his success and how he explains his instructions of building success. So, from a military perspective, and many of those who have served in the military and they wanted to know about discipline, a former ex-Navy SEAL, I read his book. I followed is also one of the episodes in his podcast, the Jocko podcast. Jocko Willink, who I give a shout out to because he's done also a wonderful job. Also even served in the Iraq War during the 2001's 9/11 catastrophic period attack when we were attacked domestically. He wrote one of his books after getting out of the Navy and serving as a Navy SEALs, Special Forces, Discipline Equals Freedom, Field Manual, actually, he wrote himself, to give you the no-nonsense, basically not sugar-coated, simple instructions of how to be active in yourself in yourself to become more healthy, productive, proactive, and even in the health and physical fitness areas of where you are. Even it's been recognized and highly viewed in the most successful business industries and the enterprise organizations of basically in the market enterprise businesses, small businesses, even bigger businesses at large, and he's where he has even talked at conferences and workshops, seminars to basically get people focused again back on the track. These are intended good indoctrinations of books I've showed you to help you get yourself back in the ground, get your head back in the gears of focus and actually knowing that, okay, reading books are great, but also still would be great to open your minds. Yes, it's very important to stick to your guns and what you believe in and where you came from. Yes, don't forget where you came from, but don't think that you don't have to always conform yourself to the same monotony of instructions or a basis of organized religion that you're part of. You want to stick to the natural fiber of where you came from. I talk in particularly to, okay, I'm a Catholic. I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic churches growing up. To this day, I go to the Catholic Church because this is the religion I came from, and was born again, which of course in this case how I got baptized, because being an Orthodox Christian, I was born again to become another Christ follower, or as most cases when we believe in Jesus, we are called as Christ followers, and we talk about how we are ingrained to believe in Jesus. In this case is of, yes, and the particular notions of, all right, why the controversial opinions would dismiss that the Catholic Church's indoctrination of organization and structure. Well, because in a way it's an organization itself that is organized with instruction, and also it has even a culture of signified concepts that actually impact people in the realm of the daily habits of any daily activities that they go about and take care of, responsibilities like taking care of families, having a career, retaining your own obligations. These are good intended of indoctrinations that we can exercise from a healthy perspective, and what we carry forward to our way of life in the habits. We read newspapers. We read a lot of topics of newspapers. They're like, for example, the Wall Street Journal, the Finance Enterprise Business has information between anything from headlines, underlined headings, talks of finance. You can just as well find update of information, because the organization has an order of how they structure the newspapers, how they perform manufacturing, and the steps they take to have different number of topics to talk about. Now, they can give you the topics and all the facts, but what you decide is up to you. How you want to make decisions and go about your daily habits. Now, in the books I've talked of recently, I would recommend you consider that it could be your best investment to buy books, because it can change your life. Now, there's a saying that you can spend as much time watching books on shows, books on movies, but the challenge that you want to embrace and actually challenge yourself by, okay, how many books can I read a day, or how many chapters in the book can I read? Or to a point where, all right, from a business perspective, if a successful person has negotiated 7 deals, whereas, okay, the analogy of a successful reader has read 7 books within a week or 7 books within a year. This is the challenging approach that you could want to empower yourself to go forward with. Providing that, okay, you find the intentions of good indoctrination and inspirations from the religion you practice. But try not to conform yourself aggressively, but yet branch out a little bit, but not branch out enough where you get conformed in another sector of a organized fashion. So I'll follow up again more about this topic of indoctrination, right? Okay. And one of the things that we want to also want to highlight ourselves with, even actually on a tad note, you know, the mainstream media news that we follow today, there is indoctrination of information that we follow. We sometimes don't fall. It's not our fault that we have to falter ourselves to get misled or follow the false headlines and false fact finding of information that there are today. You know, you have to want to actually check the sources for yourselves. And in most cases, because when we don't have time, I understand. We've mislead ourselves. We get trapped. We get basically trapped into the conform areas of watching the news, the same set of news, the same set of network of headlines that we follow through about any current ongoing controversies. You want to try to get out of that approach to basically finding a better habits of where you are going to exercise good indoctrination habits. Good indoctrination in the specs of even when we watch sports, basketball, football, baseball, hockey, any sport-related activities, there is even just as well as life, saving the examples we can learn as athletes. I was an athlete in high school. I ran track for 4 years. It taught me a lot of lessons to be able to stay active and physically active and build up a lot of moral fiber, the moral attitude of why it really is important to basically stay competitive, but also come out stronger, more approaching from a mental, physical, even in a spiritual perspective, right? Because this is what would help us kept active. We may have grown oblivious to the factors that, okay, it's easy to get a headline update. It's easy to check for the weather in worst cases, right? It's easy to watch the news and get the news you want. But what are you doing on your part to make sure that you're being indoctrinated with good intentions? Think about that. Make it an awesome week. Have a great day.